whether we are ready. Streamed. Hello.
Yeah, hello. Good afternoon.
We are ready. We are ready.
Yeah.
I'm Matthew Nainan here. We are ready.
George sir, are you ready?
Yes.
Sanjay sir?
Dr. George Kolanjeri, sir, are you ready?
No, that when we are invited to speak, they have to allow us in.
George sir? Kolanjeri sir?
Hare Krishna.
Admitting of they
will do that. I think they all got registration. Sir has sent it to them, I think.
Sir, 1 second. What happened? There is.
Yeah.
Good
Yes,
evening, sir. Good evening. I think we may begin the countdown.
Kolanjeri sir's video. Get on, then we can start.
Yeah. Second, there is. Okay, sir. Right.
Yeah, good afternoon, George sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
So can we start now? Nainan sir is also ready.
Sure. Why not? Sure.
Start. Yeah. So Robin, you can start the timer. Yeah. Good evening to everyone. Panchatantra Planet is back with another wonderful topic for discussion today. That is pedagogical strategies and innovative teaching in the 21st century. We have today two amazing people to talk on it. Matthew Nainan sir and also Ashish Bhatnagar. And there is nothing more to speak about Panchatantra Planet. You know, every week we comes out with wonderful topics which has got relevance. And today we have Professor Dr. George Kolanjeri sir to moderate the whole session. And you can see that George Kolanjeri sir is a well-experienced person with more than 25 years of exposure in the field of not only K-12 education, even in the higher section of the education segment. He has got an MA and BEd and also PhD and also management, MA in science and also MBA in human resource management. He has been working all across the globe, I can say. When I went through his bio, what I could see is he has been working in the Middle East, in some Far Eastern countries, and also across the country, in schools, colleges, and in different fields. And we are very lucky to have such a person as moderator for today's session. and he was Dean of Broad University, a US affiliate, till 2017 in Oman. And currently he is serving as Principal of Crescent Public School, Chalakudi, and also State General Secretary of APKOS. So it is my duty to welcome Professor George Kolancheri sir to moderate the session. And before handing over the session to George Kolancheri sir, I would like to enlighten the audience about the upcoming programs of the Panchatantra Planet. On 25th September, we are coming out with how to address learning gaps happen during the lockdown. That is our topic of panel discussion. 3 eminent panelists will be there and a moderator for that. Then next program is on 22nd and 23rd September on art integration. Social science and languages are the 2 subjects we are taking up in the beginning. Later, it will be followed by science, mathematics, and commerce. Then we have sports in academics. On 2nd October, a panel discussion. Then socio-emotional learning in schools on 9th October. And also we are planning in the month of October, a 3-day intensive training camp for principals across the country with the help of some US experts. And after the 3 days camp, there will be boot camp for 2 days for the principals. And also we are planning for an emotional intelligence session, training session for 3 days with some US experts, US and UK experts. These are the programs coming up. So check our social media platforms and register for the programs. With this, I once again welcome the moderator and hand over the session to Professor Dr. George Kolancheri sir to moderate the session and to welcome the gathering. Thank you. Have a wonderful session. Over to George Kolancheri sir.
Thank you, Radhakrishnan sir, for the nice words that you used to welcome me. Thanks a lot. Yes. Respected personalities, Professor Matthew C. Nayan sir, Mr. Ashish Bhatnagar sir, Board of Directors of Panchatantra Planet, dear educationists, school leaders, a very good evening to one and all. We are here to listen to and to share our thoughts on the recent developments in K-12 education. We know the topic of today is pedagogical strategies and innovative teaching in the 21st century. Before we start, may I just brief a few things about Panchatantra pedagogy. It's working with a very clear vision. The major objective or the vision of Panchatantra pedagogy is to nurture and develop talented teaching communities, blended with values, knowledge, wisdom, and technological skills to provide affordable India-centric education through modern techniques for global citizenship. Of course, a visionary team of committed principals with over 25 years of experience in curriculum development, implementation, and research-based teaching and learning. Those who are well-versed in K-12 leadership and teacher mentoring have come forward to form this Panchatantra Planet. You might be wondering why the word is Panchatantra, 5 aspects. It's an eclectic learning methodology that integrates the approaches of number 1, constructive, number 2, sensorial, 3rd one, reflective, 4th one, integrative, and the last is experiential. So taking all these 5 approaches towards teaching, we call it as Panchatantra pedagogy. Based on these 5 principles, The pedagogy makes learning joyful, experiential, inquiry-based, brain-based, and application-based. The first session we are going to have with Professor Matthew C. Nainan, sir, it will help us understand the concept of 21st century school leadership. How can innovative leaders solve the problems of learners and help them achieve their goals? In the second half, by Ashish Bhatnagar, sir, he'll enlighten us on innovative pedagogical and teaching practices needed to implement National Education Policy 2020 in our classrooms to convert our learners into critical thinkers, problem solvers, innovators, etc., etc. When we talk about the 21st century, we know learning is complete and holistic only when a student is able to effectively perform and fulfill his or her responsibilities and duties towards self, school, family, society, and above all, the nation. The goal is to nurture good citizens and responsible human beings, well aware of their potential and competence. In the fast changing world of work, students are required to acquire 21st century skills to navigate life beyond schools. So today, we are going to listen about various aspects of 2 points. Number one, as it was mentioned, recent developments in K-12 education pedagogical strategies, leadership in the new form, and innovative teaching in the 21st century. I would like to give you the profile of the first panelist. That is none other than Professor Matthew C. Nainan, who is working as the director of Little Rock Indian School, Brahmava, Udupi district. He has got MA in English Language and Literature and MA in Educational Management from England. He worked as a lecturer in English in Mangalore, then the principal of a college. After a few years, from college principal, he moved to Little Rock Indian School as its principal and served in that capacity till 2017. That means it's almost a period of 3 decades, 28, 29 years. Not a small period at all. He was involved in envisioning and developing Little Rock from its inception. Currently, he is working as honorary director of Little Rock. He has attended so many national and international conferences in India, in UK, Germany, USA, South Africa, Switzerland, Australia, etc. He wrote articles, published books, received Government of Karnataka's awards, and published his other books, etc., etc. And the list goes on and on. With great pleasure, may I take this opportunity to invite the first panelist, Matthew Nainan, sir, to share his knowledge, expertise, experience, and his opinion about this topic with the target audience. Sir, the floor is yours. Welcome, sir.
Good evening to all of you. I hope you can hear me properly.
Yeah, sir. Good evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Shaiju and his colleagues who are involved in a great effort at a time when learning, teaching, all aspects of education have taken a beating. I think they have taken a step to rise to the occasion. And this is a very good example of their leadership acumen. I thank Dr. George Valencheri for his generous introduction and all of you who are attending this program. I am supposed to speak on school leadership in the 21st century. As Dr. George Valencheri said, this present century is different. And obviously our leadership also has to be different. Now, let me start with a familiar definition of leadership. Whenever I speak of leadership, I quote John C. Maxwell, who has perhaps said it so succinctly when he said, leadership is all about influence, nothing more or nothing less. It's about influence. And what is influence? It is, as a neutral word, it is the kind of impact you can make on people who work with you. What is the impact that you make on people? That is your influence. So influence is something that you are able to impact, the way you are able to impact others who are with you, all the stakeholders who are with you. That is influence. So leadership is nothing but influence, nothing more or nothing less. He also went on to say, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. A leader is one who knows the way, and he is also able to go that way, and he is able to therefore show others to take that way. That is leadership according to John C. Maxwell. Today, when we think of our country as a whole, we realize that most of the problems are on account of poor leadership. And that has affected the academic world also. There is certainly a lacune because we lack good leadership. So we are looking for good leaders. We need to create good leaders for the new century. And we are dealing with a group of children, a cohort of children who were born in this century. They are, in fact, 21st century children. And we who are teachers, we belong to the 20th century. We were born in the 20th century. These children whom we are dealing with, they are born in the 21st century. The earlier group of children were called the millennials. Then we had the Gen Z children. Now today we have this generation. This generation is named Generation Alpha. Generation Alpha. Children who were born in this particular century, they were using the smartphone even before they started walking. Soon after their birth, within a few months of being born, these children have been operating the smartphone. So that's the difference. So we are dealing with a generation of children who are digitally natives, whereas we are digitally migrants. Our generation, we have migrated to technology. We have migrated to the digital world, whereas these children, they were born into this digital world. So we as leaders of this new century, we need to reorient ourselves a little. We cannot continue to use our old methods. We need to change. How do we change? I would like to point out a few areas where we have got to be a lot different. Broadly speaking, we should be, as leaders, we should be visionaries. And our vision should match the needs of the new century. As visionaries, we need to point our teachers and other staff who are with us towards what I would like to call the North Star. The North Star is the most desirable goal, the purpose and vision where we want to reach, which is our ultimate goal. So as leaders, we should be visionaries, and we should be able to point to the North Star, that destination we want to reach, with a clearer purpose and a clearer vision. And that should resonate throughout our institution. Secondly, we ought to be architects. We as leaders should be architects of the school climate, the school culture. As a leader, it is we who influence the school culture, the school climate. That's why I would like to call ourselves architects. Then we should act as good coaches. Like in a game, however good the team is, however good the individual players are, we always need a coach. And the principal is the coach in this instance. The leader of the school has to be a good coach. He should be able to energize the team, bring coordination in the team, and make them work together in unison, hand to hand, shoulder to shoulder. And that is the role of a coach, and the leader as a coach, and then the leader as a catalyst. As a catalyst, especially in the days that we are going through, we need to act as a catalyst between the old method and the new one, the old classroom teaching to the new live classes in the technology that we are using, and so on. In all of these, we need to move with the times and be active catalysts. So that is the role that we play as leaders in this instance. Now, so we have this role as visionary, we have this role as architects, we have this role as coaches and catalysts. And above all, this leader should be able to articulate clearly a couple of things. Every school should have its USP. What's the school's USP? The unique selling proposition, your unique selling point. That is the USP of your school. Every school needs to have some strong points, certain things which are unique to you, in which you excel, and the society, the world at large, recognizes that exceptional point, that exceptional quality in you. That I would call your USP. Do you have a USP of your school? And are you able to, therefore, USP, of course, is from the business world, unique selling point, but here we use it in a general sense. So what's the USP of your school? What's your X factor? What is it that makes you unique? These things we have to articulate clearly. We must be clear in our own minds, in the minds of those who work with us. As I said, we are dealing with a new breed of children, and we have to be leaders matching them. And here I would like to bring forth a few things where we need to change. First of all, some of our personal traits. As leaders, this, of course, is applicable to any generation, not only in the 21st century, every generation. A leader has got to be a person with certain qualities, certain traits. Traits like curiosity, perseverance, resilience, the ability to predict, the ability to anticipate. A leader should be able to predict and anticipate. You need to think ahead of your time. You need to anticipate what is the likely possibility, and that is the capacity to predict and anticipate. Then you have got to be constantly working towards understanding things, developing things, and pursuing it. And you should be resilient enough, not rigid. And then with your hard work, you should be able to achieve this. And you should also be striving for your own personal growth and improvement on a regular basis. These are the personal traits in a general sense. Also, as a leader, you have got to be fair. You have got to exercise fairness in all your judgment, in all your decisions, because a leader can influence, as I said at the very outset, can influence positively only when you command respect. And how do you command respect? You command respect through your decisions, and your decision making must be on very fair, objective standards. So these are the kind of personal traits that one has to develop. Secondly, mindsets. We need to reorient and readjust our mindset. A growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. Today, we need to see things in a different perspective. We cannot have the earlier methods, the earlier approaches. We need to have a global perspective. We need to constantly update our knowledge, our skills, and our mindset, and acquire a global perspective. And we need to, of course, improve our skills in terms of teamwork, in terms of our emotional quotient, and we need to be focused. We need to practice what we call mindfulness. As you know, mindfulness is complete concentration in the task that is at hand. The capacity to be thoroughly focused to the total exclusion of everything that is happening all around you. That is your mindfulness. And then teamwork, the first one that I mentioned, is the most important thing. See, the way you carry your team. Nobody can achieve anything on one's own. We need people's support. We need a committed team of people who are on the same page with us, who are able to understand our aspirations, our expectations, our goals, and our focus, so that they will cooperate with us and work with us. So these are the skills that we need to have. Here, teamwork is so very important because your effectiveness is largely dependent on the teamwork that you are able to accomplish. Then your habits. We need to develop certain habits to unlock the collective genius of the school. As a school, we call it a collective genius. All of us put together, there is a certain genius about the school. There is one great reservoir of possibilities about your team. That is what we call the collective genius. How do we get into this? We need to cultivate this through feedback and reflection. We must constantly be on the lookout to see how we can improve, how best we can do things. This feedback reflection should carry on and go on continuously. It's a continuous process. As for emotional intelligence, EQ, according to the Harvard Business Review on leadership, EQ is the sine qua non of leadership, the sine qua non of leadership, the essential part of leadership, the quintessence of leadership. A leader has to have a very high component of a very good emotional intelligence. One might be intelligent, we call IQ. One might be intelligent in so many respects, but the most important part of a leader is his or her emotional intelligence. I do not have to explain it. This is not the time to do that, but I'm sure every one of you listening to me understand what is EQ. And I just want to say that it is the sine qua non of leadership. That is the quintessence of leadership. And that takes us to some parts of emotional intelligence, like self-awareness. See, we often know more things about other people than about ourselves, which is a paradox. We need to know ourselves, our strengths and our weaknesses. We may not acknowledge it to the whole world, but we need to know. And self-regulation. We know in our words and actions, we have got to be very cautious. We need to have self-regulation. We need to exercise empathy. We need to step into others' shoes. We need to understand other people, their sensibilities, their sensitivities, and their needs, their aspirations, their problems, and so on. Whenever we take a decision, we need to step into their shoes and find out how it would be if we were in that place. Then we have to develop our social skills, which includes our communication skills, no doubt. As leaders, we need to communicate effectively. The way we talk to our people, informally and formally, we need to be extremely cautious. So our communication skills, our interpersonal skills. People respect us, not for our qualifications, not for all the great achievements we are supposed to have, but the way we treat them, the way we deal with them. That's what's going to motivate them. The people who are with us must be constantly motivated, and that motivation is a part of our emotional intelligence. And that leads us to the next thing. We must lead from within our own soul. The heart of leadership is in the heart of leaders. See, this is a very significant thing. You have to lead from something deep in yourself. See, people are influenced by the way you think about them, the way you handle them, and so on and so forth. That is why we say it is the heart of the leader. It's something deep within you. Your commitment and your interest in people, your commitment to the cause for which you are a leader, all these things matter. The love with which you do the work, these are going to impact others and the way they think about you and follow you. Abraham Lincoln once said, see, nearly all men can stand the test of adversity, but if you really want to test a man's character, give him power. What a magnificent statement that is. It says everything. You want to test a man's character, give him power. You understand what that means. If you want to test someone's character, you give him power. That takes me to the point of integrity. Your integrity, especially when you exercise power, when you hold power, your integrity is supremely important. Are you able to take decisions without any vested interest? Keeping the noble objectives of your institution, the great motto of your institution, great ideals of your founders, are you able to walk towards them? Keeping aside your personal preferences and your personal preferences, are you able to do it? And when it comes to integrity, are you able to give up your personal interests and take decisions in the interest of the institution? That is character, and that is integrity. And to remain as a person of integrity in a situation where there are lots of temptations is very difficult, particularly in financial matters. The character of a man, here Dr. Abraham Lincoln's words, it involves financial integrity, probity and prudence in money matters. That is the test of one's character. So give a man power and you will see how he behaves. What a meaningful statement. Here are a few things about leaders. A leader is able to see what's not seen. A leader hears the unheard. A leader walks alone, but with others. A leader takes risks and sensibly. A leader walks his or her talk. This is something that I wish to underline. A leader walks his talk. See, there are people who say, do as I say, not as I do. No, that won't work. You need to walk the talk. Then only you will be convincing. Your credibility depends on the way you actually do things. As a leader, say you are as a principal, if you need to direct the teachers who teach, you need to yourself be a good teacher. You need to show that you value teaching. Then, of course, you will have credibility. If you do not go into classrooms and you expect teachers to be teaching, I do not think you will ever be able to convince the teacher the need to be a good teacher. Show them the way, as the first quote said, John C. Maxwell's quote said, you must walk that way. You must take that walk. Then only you make other people walk. A few characteristics of effectiveness are this. You need to understand people. You don't understand people, then you don't understand leadership at all. It's all about relationships. Command and control kind of leadership is gone. Today, we live in a world of relationships. You can be only as successful as your relationships. Ask for help and accept it. Trust others. Take risks sometimes and trust people and tell the truth. The proof of leadership is in building harmonious relationships. You cannot manage people before influencing them. I wanted to put these down. I made a request to Dr. Shaiju. I would like to use PowerPoint because some of these things cannot be explained. And there is no need to explain because they are self-explanatory. For instance, these statements I have taken from different sources. I am showing the bibliography at the end. You cannot manage people before influencing them. First influence them, then everything will go well. Your team is with you, and your team should know how much you value them. I am incomplete without you. A leader should be able to make this one statement. I am incomplete without you. My success is closely interlinked with you. My success depends on you too. Everybody plays a role in this. Everybody who works in your institution has a role to play. And you just happen to be the first among the equals. Do you have a compelling vision to lead? These are some of the test questions. Are you able to pass on this vision to your followers in a convincing manner? And this is the litmus test of your leadership. Are you able to pass on this vision to your followers in a convincing manner? Are you prepared to go that extra mile? People do not die from overwork. They die from dissipation and worry. Love what you do, and your work becomes the best pastime in the world. If you love your work is not a work anymore. It is the best pastime in the world. You enjoy your work. You not only enjoy your work, you become a better person. You accomplish more tasks and do things better. You may always face criticism, but as Theodore Roosevelt said, do not be bothered about people who criticize if you know that you are doing the right thing. You will be criticized anyway. You do the best of things, you will still be criticized. So you need to continue doing what you think is right. There is a saying, you will be damned if you do and damned if you don't. Either way, you are going to be criticized. You know Dale Carnegie, who wrote that famous book, Start Living, Stop Worrying and Start Living, how to influence people, how to stop worrying and start living. That's an interesting book from where this quote comes. A fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do. So those who complain, those who always are dissatisfied, discontented, do not take them seriously. Anyway, they'll continue to do that. The best way to develop a person is through appreciation and encouragement. When you take your team along, a word of appreciation is so very significant. And your appreciation must be honest and sincere. If you simply flatter people, people will see through very soon. So you need to give appreciation where it is due and sincerely. And make them feel important and do it sincerely. And get interested in other people rather than expect them to get interested in you. You want others to be interested in you, you first show interest in them. Again, Dale Carnegie says this is the best way to influence or win friends and influence people. That's a good book for people to read. How to stop worrying and start living. How to win friends and influence people. There are 3 books. Now it comes in a single volume, maybe a large book. How to win friends and influence people. How to stop worrying and start thinking. How to be a public speaker. How to influence people through public speaking. There are 3 or 4 books written by Dale Carnegie, and they are worth going through. Our school is a web of relationships, and there is a thread, just like a web, and it's a chain, and every link there is important. Every thread there is important. And if any one part of the link is broken, that weakens the entire chain. A chain is no stronger than its weakest link. That famous proverb, a chain is no stronger than its weakest link. In our team too, everybody is like a link, and everybody is therefore important. A leader has got to be authentic. He has to start respecting for being what you are, and be the change yourself, as Gandhiji said. Be the change you wish to see. You first change yourself before trying to change other people. And there is no limit to what can be achieved if it doesn't matter who gets the credit. And when coming to talk about the team, this is the best quote. None of us is as smart as all of us. None of us is as smart as all of us. These are the 2 books which I have heavily relied on in preparing this talk. And one is The Role of Leaders, and the other one is School Leadership. These are 2 books which I have largely used in this context. And I wish to thank Dr. Shaiju and others who have given me this opportunity. I hope I have been able to kindle some ideas, some thoughts, and enable you to think in a slightly new direction, because as school leaders, we need to show our way and walk our way. Thank you very much. And I hope you will have a wonderful academic year. Though it's already September, schools are starting. I hope you will be able to have a wonderful academic year ahead of you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Matthew C. Naina. In fact, we know, sir, you are a man of great experience, expertise, and knowledge in various fields. And as it says, when someone travels in life, he gathers experience, which becomes the most important asset in life. When you share your knowledge with others, it gets doubled. We are so blessed to have you, sir, here amongst us, to listen to you, to get inspired by the words and experience that you have undergone. We are really blessed. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time that you spent for this gathering. Once again, on behalf of everyone gathered here, may I extend sincere thanks to Matthew Naina, sir, for his valuable presence and the expression of his knowledge, opinions, and views on innovative leadership in the 21st century. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir. Actually, this is a very good occasion because now training sessions are being conducted by CBSE for the principals on the topic pedagogical leadership. And I was trying to relate with what Sir was telling, Matthew's answer was telling. Now we are instructional leaders, whereas from instructional leaders, we have to move to pedagogical leaders. And as Sir mentioned, leader is the person who can influence others to achieve the organizational goal. Thank you so much once again. And may I take this opportunity to welcome our next speaker, an eminent panelist, a great sportsman, a dynamic academician, and that's none other than Mr. Ashish Bhatnagar, sir, who is an assessment specialist for A-Levels Global Perspectives, an examiner, certified life coach from USA, who has received many best principles awards at national and international level. He is also a social worker and activist, a Rotarian, and works for many other NGOs. He has got senior leadership experience of being the principal or head of secondary school, responsible for supervising, supporting, developing, and evaluating and disciplining. He has worked as external examiner for many bodies, examination bodies. From September 2019, he has been working as the principal and head of school with International School of Seychelles. His experience stretches from China to India and many other places. He has worked at various levels as head of ICT, principal, head of department, assistant professor, head of computer department, etc., etc. He has been selected and confirmed for educational icon awarded by, it's an award by 31 Venture Limited, Mumbai. Then many awards such as Nation Builders Award in 2018 in Mumbai, Best Progressive Principal in International Edu Summit and Edu Awards, Delhi in 2018, Global Goodwill Ambassador for Goodwill. It goes on and on. I'm sure Ashish Bhatnagar sir will enlighten us on innovative pedagogical and teaching practices needed to implement National Education Policy 2020 in our classrooms to convert our learners into critical thinkers and problem solvers. So the topic is innovative pedagogy and teaching in the light of National Education Policy. May I take this opportunity to welcome once again all board of directors of Panchatantra Planet and all participants, principals, vice principal, educationists, academicians, etc., etc., to this wonderful talk by Ashish Bhatnagar, sir. Sir, the floor is yours. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dr. George, for this humble introduction. A big thank you to Radhakrishnan, sir, for giving me this opportunity and inviting me. In fact, it was great to listen to Sir Matthew just before me. And he gave such an insightful talk on what a school leadership means and should mean, especially in the light of NEP, post-pandemic era, and even in general. And what Sir Matthew said was absolutely right about being school leaders, that we have to be the influencers. We have to have that influence on others, especially our members of staff, the teachers. And I just wanted to add one thing, that a true leader is one who actually creates more leaders. We have to create more leaders within the organization, within the institution. We have to create space for them. We have to create platform for them, for others, to make them and develop them as leaders. And this is what is the need of the hour. And Panchtantra Planet has done this extremely well. They've been doing a lot of webinars in this series, and this today's webinar, Innovative Pedagogy and Teaching in the Light of NEP, is extremely relevant and useful. I'll try and touch some of the points which through this presentation, like in pedagogy and different teaching techniques or strategies. So this seminar, in fact, this webinar is so timely. I would also include some of the post-pandemic situations. But before that, I would like to express my big salute to all the teachers who have been doing a fabulous job post-pandemic, like in the last year and a half. Teachers probably are thinking within their mind, actually, I'm doing too much, and that too much is also not enough. So at times, they're working, overworking. Instead of like 8 hours in the school, probably teachers are spending 12 hours, 14 hours, 16 hours, if it's a work from home thing. And it's not easy, trust me. So I just want to tell the teachers, stop beating yourself up. This was not a normal school year. You've done a great job. So well done, teachers, and big salutes to all of you, the teachers who were a part of my team where I worked, and of course, all the teachers across the world. You were one of the frontline warriors during this pandemic. So now let me just start with this. Sir Matthew, in fact, touched some of the points which you'll find in my presentation as well. In fact, he had gone one step ahead, and I'll mention that. But anyways, teaching and learning, when we talk of teaching and learning, it mainly involves transfer of knowledge. Now, what is knowledge? It's the transition from converting information into the knowledge through reading, or from classroom discussions to visual perception. That's like what a teacher actually is doing in the class. So we all have a lot of information, at our hands, especially in this Google era. We've got loads of information. The internet is a huge ocean of information. But that information is not knowledge. There is a procedure, there is a way in which this information can be converted into knowledge. So this transition is what we call it, like it can be possible through readings and classroom discussions, since we are talking about pedagogies and teaching and learning in light of NEP. Now, effective pedagogies involve a range of techniques, including whole class and structured group work, or the guided learning and individual activity. So there can be a lot of, effective pedagogies which can be implemented in the school. And we will talk about a few of them a little later. Now, this is what I was talking about, which Sir Matthew had already covered. This is very, very useful for us to understand the different generations in the past, past century, I would say. The greatest generations born between 1901 and 1924, the silent generation born 1924 to 1945, the baby boomers from 1946 to 64, the Gen X or the Generation X born 1965 to 1976. Then were the millennials or Gen Y, where basically I belong to Generation X, a little to Generation Y. We call ourselves millennials as well, between 1977 and 1995. And the Generation Z, Gen Z, we call it, which Sir Matthew even said, like alpha generation, basically, because the previous generations like X, Y, we were digital migrants, whereas this new generation basically has grown up. So let's have a look at this quickly. The silent generation was like matures or traditionals, prior to 1946. Gen Xers are those born between these years, which I've just mentioned here. I'll just quickly go through this now. So Generation X used to, like naturally question authority figures responsible for creating the work and life balance concept. They were born in a time where, there was this declining population growth. And this generation of workers possessed strong technical skills, more independent than the prior generations. I'm talking about the years where actually I was born, and probably some of us who are here, we were born. Then millennials. Now, this is the group of first global centric generation, having come of age during the rapid growth of the internet and increased in global terrorism. They are among the most resilient in navigating changes while deepening their appreciation for diversity and inclusion. So that was Gen Y. And Gen Z, or Generation Z. Now, this is the generation which is basically, I would say, they have never known a world without computers or cell phones. As Sir Matthew said, they are like, even when they are toddlers, actually they crawl on the floor with a mobile phone in their hands. I mean, this is what has happened, and this is what is happening in some of the households. Parents are giving mobile phones to 2 months, 3 months olders, and just to keep them busy or whatever. So this generation is somebody, like, these are the people who've grown up with, they've never known any world that, was there a world without mobile phones? Was there a world without internet? Was there a world without computers? I mean, they can't even imagine that. So this is something, the new generation. So they're first truly digital and the global generation. They are confident, very optimistic, imaginative, and they think more laterally than any other generations. So this is what the new generation, Gen Z, is all about. And why I have discussed about these generations is because the new pedagogies, I think the NEP, like, you've not seen any changes to the educational policy since last 35 years. And it came at a very right time. In fact, 2020, though it was like the era of pandemic and proper implementation has not yet been done, there's still things are going on. But I think there was never a good time for the NEP to take place. And that's the reason we are talking about the Gen Z, that this is the generation which will need new ideas, new methodologies, new pedagogies, because educational technology has now deep-rooted itself in our educational system. It has integrated something which was not possible in the last 10, 15 years, has happened in last 10, 15 months. It's a dramatic change. It was a dramatic change that, or a revolution that educational technology actually brought in. So this is something which is very, very important, and that's why we discussed about the different generations. Now we talk of pedagogy. So what is pedagogy? The most commonly understood as like the approach to teaching is the theory of and practice of learning and how this process influences and is influenced by the social, political, and psychological development of learners. So this becomes very important, that what is the environment? So the social, political, psychological developments. Now, because of the pandemic, a lot of things have changed, even in the teaching and learning process. And that's how things have changed. What is the approach towards teaching? That's what like pedagogy is. It refers more broadly to the theory and practice of education and how this influences the growth of learners. Now, impact of educational technology. Digital technology change our way of life, ways of communication, way of thinking, feelings, channels of influence on other people, social skills, and social behavior. Digital technology brought in the social media platforms. The social media platforms, I think most of the students are active on various social media platforms. We also use not only social media platforms, we are also using networking platforms. So educational technology has, or EdTech has brought revolutionary changes to the whole process of teaching and learning. Now in the picture you can see it says, if pedagogy is the driver, technology is the accelerator. So technology has really accelerated the way things have moved on. Now it's very important for us to understand the perception and the mindset. Pandemic has put forward new requirements for the teachers and their professional activities. Teachers needed to learn new digital technologies more actively. Now, because there were online classes, the schools closed, nobody was allowed to go out. There were some lot of big challenges that the teachers, the schools, the school management had to face. And the big challenge was to deal with the psychology of perception and thinking with the active use of e-learning. E-learning existed, EdTech existed, there were different educational technology tools which were available. Google Classroom was there, Google was there, Microsoft was there, and Microsoft Teams was there, Zoom was there. All these, it's not that they all, like came into existence after Corona pandemic, but these were all there. But they had to be integrated within our day-to-day life. Then there was another challenge, which was practical training of teachers for the use of ICT and digital resources. A lot of teachers were not really tech savvy. I must say, okay, those who were teaching computer science or science subjects, maybe they were familiar, but quite a number of teachers were really not using technology to the full or even using technology as an aid. But they had to undergo different trainings and they had to change their mindsets. They had to change their perception and see the things in the new perspective, which finally became the new normal. And then the formation of digital literacy policies, in the school. Now, this is something which I'll just say that the world, in fact, has changed dramatically post-pandemic. Work from home has become like the everyday affair, or learn from home is the new mandate in almost every part of the world. Now, in this scenario, schools have moved to virtual platforms as the new norms, and educators are making every effort to keep educating kids as best as they can. They are trying their level best. They've lived up to it. They have grown up to it. Now, while these online classes ensure that the education of the students is not interrupted, many teachers did not have any prior training programs for virtual or remote teaching. So this is something which was a challenge. And consequently, many teachers continue to replicate what they do in a classroom, but they struggle with disengaged and demotivated students. I'll talk a little more about it when I talk about pedagogies and when I talk about teaching strategies. But then, yes, this is something which is that online teaching is not same as our physical classroom teaching. And many a times it becomes extremely boring. And we really need to go beyond, and think of out of the box and do some different activities. Now let's talk about the different pedagogies that probably can be included or will be, definitely be considered in the light of NEB and post-pandemic era. One is crossover teaching. Some of these already exist. Some of these, it's not that what I'm going to discuss is something really, really new or whatever, but yes, these will form a very, very essential part of the different effective pedagogies. Now, crossover teaching is, while this form of teaching does not include technology, it is enriching experience for the students as well as the faculty. Now, the learning happens in an informal setting, such as after learning school clubs or trips, museums, and exhibitions. Now, this is also possible with the help of technology as well. We have successfully implemented after school clubs. We have successfully done a lot of after school activities, curricular activities, which are like virtually. So this is all possible. There were a lot of clubs that we were running virtually, and this is something which is possible, and we call it crossover teaching. Then teaching through smart boards. Now, this is something which I'm sure a lot of schools were already doing this. The smart boards were there. A number of schools which I know already had started using some smart boards in their schools, which, there were these smart boards with dynamic multimedia contents, videos, audios, presentations, and some already existing worksheets and assignments. So which really help the teachers to deliver the topics in a more effective manner. Then we talk about teaching through flipping classrooms. Now, flipping the classroom is becoming an increasingly popular, effective teaching method. Now, what happens here is that students are made active participants of the learning process by passing the onus of learning on them. Here, this is kind of a lot of schools that do this activity-based learning, where the students take charge by doing their activities, and they take charge that, yes, I'm responsible for my own learning. And that's what is more important. And that's what we call it, like teaching through flipping classrooms. So this is a kind of a role where a teacher takes a backseat. They just act as a guide. That fine, I'm there. If you need my help, if you need my support, I'm available. But this is what is like now your responsibility for your own learning. And that's where the learning becomes very, very effective. Then we talk of teaching through collaborations. This is another innovative method where teaching involves encouraging students' collaboration for various projects. We are in a globalized world. We are using a virtual platform now. And collaboration is an essential skill, life skill, that is important for all careers and enterprises. Now, teachers can help foster this skill in the classrooms by allowing the students to learn, study, and work in groups. The group projects can be given to the students. When we say collaboration, the collaborations can be done between two schools, between, say, first of all, within the school, within two different, like there is an interdisciplinary approach. So within the same class, with 2-3 different subjects, subject teachers can probably collaborate and work on a project. Collaborative activities can be done between two different schools within the same town. Collaboration can be done, like there is a virtual student exchange, can be done. Now, educational technology has given us this leverage. They have given this advantage that we can now collaborate with any school across the world. And we did some virtual student exchanges and collaborations very successfully in the past 18 months. And this is, trust me, very, very useful for the students, where they get in touch with the school or the students in another part of the world. And they come to know about their local cultures. They get the first-hand information from those students, from a student who is studying in, say, another remote area of, say, of Africa, and a school there. And they know about their cultures. They know about their lifestyles. They know about their original and authentic, like what food do they eat? What is the geography and the history of that country? So a lot of such collaborations and active collaborations can take place. And since we are talking about like pedagogies, like post-pandemic, the virtual platforms or educational technology will be greatly useful for this. Teaching through VR, of course, like the virtual reality, a lot of schools have started integrating virtual reality in its curriculum. quite a number of schools, they were, already they had subscribed to different companies that were offering the AR, VR software and the products. Now, virtual reality involves helping students learn through, interactions with a 3D world, and it offers students a valuable opportunity to learn in an immersive manner that creates a lasting impression on their minds. So, a reality which is virtual. Okay. So this is pretty interesting concept where the students actually learn through like imagination and with the help of technology, where they would see how actually the things work. Now, as I said, like AR, VR packages were available and offered with a lot of technologies, a lot of companies, and used to be a very, very useful tool. And another useful tool is the 3D printing technology. Now, this is fast gaining global acceptance, especially in higher educational institutions where like 3D printers are used to create prototypes and make complex concepts easy to understand. So 3D printing technology, a lot of schools have geared up. They are in fact using it. In one of my previous schools, we had 3D printers, like 3D printers installed for the students, basically to give them and give their ideas a shape. And they were extremely excited that, fine, oh yes, I think about this shape. They would design their own shape, and the 3D printer would actually have a product, like, a prototype for that. So it was extremely useful, and the students are very, very excited actually to see how this technology works. And then we talk of like, since there will be a lot of use of technology, that's why like the effective pedagogies I'm discussing also talks of educational technology tools, and one of them is cloud computing. Now, the use of cloud is a method where teachers can save vital classroom resources like lesson plans, notes, audio lessons, videos, assignments, details on the classroom cloud. So whatever we are doing nowadays, if you're using Microsoft Teams or Google Classroom, whatever you're using, it's all through the cloud. So cloud computing has become a very, very important, and it will be a part of our pedagogy. And then finally, we talk of technology and innovative methods of teaching. So for teachers, technology offers an endless set of resources they can tap into, like depending on the need of the students. It's not only like these technologies we have spoken of, but then if you talk of, say, Google Classrooms or Microsoft Teams, there are so many different tools available. There are so many different technologies available these days, with like Chrome extensions, to mention one. So say there are so many Google Chrome extensions available, and teachers can make a very, very effective use of these Chrome extensions. Many of them are free tools which are available. You just need to install them on your system, and you can actually make use of these. So when you get yourself trained through different platforms, you become a Google certified trainer or Microsoft certified, like MIE, Microsoft Innovative Educator. You also gain access to a lot of such things where you can, like use these tools in your day-to-day life, where teaching and learning and taking place. And these are very useful tools. So this is something which I spoke about, the different pedagogies that will be very, very useful. And then finally, how to keep the students engaged in your virtual classroom. Well, luckily, from what I gather is the schools are slowly reopening. The schools are slowly getting back to the pace. Schools in some states will be reopening from Monday, the 20th September. I think probably maybe for 9th to 12th standards, or somewhere from 5th to 12th standards. And gradually they will be reopening for the rest of the students from all the way from, I think, grade 1 towards the end of September or in the beginning of October. So keeping fingers crossed that yes, this is, but meanwhile, and in fact, we may have to actually move to a hybrid learning mode or a blended learning mode, which we call. So we may have to move to that mode as well. Now, still, there will be like online classes going on for quite some time because we do not know what the parents' mindset is, what the students' mindset is. Maybe we'll have 50% attendance in the classes, and we might have to, continue with our virtual classrooms. So, how we can best, keep them engaged in our virtual classrooms? These are just a few tips very quickly. Some of them are quite basic, like you need to prepare in advance your lessons. And as I said, please make use of the exceptional tools which are available and the extensions which are available, which you can integrate in your classrooms, whether it is for Google or Microsoft Teams, whatever platform you're using, they've got excellent tools for teachers. Set the rules at the beginning. When you are having your virtual classes, you need to have your rules as you have in your physical classes. So the rule can be you just like all the students when they enter, they should be on mute or the microphones should be on mute. Videos should be on as and when required, not essentially that every time they have to have the videos on. If they want to ask a question, they should raise their hands. So all such rules must be set and you must have it. It makes your life very easy. You can create a merits and demerits system based on like the students' attendance, the student participation, and the way the students turn in their assignments. Like if you have given an online assignment, like was it handed in time? What was the performance on that assignment? So you can have merits and demerits for the students' engagement. They really are, they want to know that yes, how they are doing. And these merits and demerits will help you also to have a track of how a child is doing, how your student is doing. Encourage questioning. Now, this is very, very important. When you are delivering a lesson, make it interactive. One common problem which I found as a school leader, a lot of teachers were giving us this report, like when we were having our weekly reports and discussions, that there is minimal interaction from the student side. There is very, very less interaction. So because the students will just come in, join the lesson, and probably, like even if the teacher keeps asking, okay, children, have you understood this? No response. Any questions? No response. So there was this. So you need to encourage them. You need to talk. Sometimes have an informal chat, informal class. Just open up discussions, and just engage them, involve them, and this is what will make your classes more interesting and interactive. So questioning must be there, and keep your lessons short and crisp. This is again very, very important. If let's say, for example, the lesson is of 40 minutes, your lecture should not be of 40 minutes for sure. Your lecture can be of 15 minutes, but have your lesson plan in such a way that you keep engaged the students for the 40 minutes, but 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever lesson is being delivered, they have that interest still till the end of the lesson, and they look forward to your next lesson. Then progress checks and feedbacks are very, very important again, because a child really is curious to know, parents are curious to know that how my child is doing in these online lessons, and that becomes very, very important. Develop a strong bond with students. This is again, as I just mentioned about like encourage questioning, you can have some sessions with the students, fun-filled sessions. In fact, there can be a lot of fun-filled activities part of your sessions. You can make use of different platforms, and Kahoot is one I would like to mention here, that some of you might be using Kahoot already, and if not, then try and explore this as well. This is an incredibly useful and exciting tool, I must say. I have used it for my students, I have used it with them, and they just love it. And then, of course, we already discussed about the flipped classroom model in the previous slides. So this is how probably, we can make like after discussing our pedagogies, that these are the pedagogies which where most of our teaching methodologies will revolve around, and how to keep the students engaged in, especially in the virtual classrooms. These are certain tips from my side. So that's all from me for today's session. And a big thank you once again to the team of Panchtantra Planet, the Krishnan sir, Dr. George, Dr. Shezu. Thank you so much. And Matthew sir, it was great pleasure listening to you as well. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Ashish Bhatnagar, sir, for the enlightening speech, the inspiring ideas related to teaching. And as we know, for the past 1 year or more than that, we or our teachers have been struggling to deliver effective lessons online. The concepts and the practical tips that you delivered are of great use. Even though the school is going to reopen, we might go for hybrid learning. And we know that hybrid learning, it's a combination of virtual learning and offline classes. There also we need to have the skills of online classes. It's very important. And as we know, the skills that our students possess at the moment and the skills that are required by 2025 are different, such as the analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, complex problem solving, critical thinking and analysis, creativity, originality and initiative, leadership and social influence, technology use, monitoring, control, etc., etc. So the world becomes more demanding. And for a teacher, from instructional leader, he has to be a pedagogical leader who will design strategic policies to lead the institution towards its vision, keeping the objectives in mind, to raise the conspicuous moxie in the employees of the organization. So it's quite important to learn about the aspects that Bhatnagar sir said. Thank you so much, sir, from the bottom of my heart, and everyone gathered here for your great time and the knowledge that you shared with. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. In Sanskrit, there is a sloka you might have heard. If you have not heard, now you can hear. Durlabham trayame vaitat devanugraha hetukam manushyattvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samsraya. That means there are three things that we will get in our life, but it's difficult to obtain in this world and depend on the mercy of God. The human birth, the desire for salvation, and the company of great souled ones. The third one is very important, the company of great souled ones. We are blessed to have two eminent personalities like Matthew sir, Professor Matthew Nainan sir, and Mr. Ashish Bhatnagar sir. You graced the occasion with your vibrant presence and dynamic experience in your life. We grab this opportunity to express our profound gratitude to both of you on behalf of everyone gathered here. Thanks a lot. Now this is the time for Q&A session. if anybody is having any doubt, or if you want to share your ideas with the eminent panelists, it's your turn to go for that. In between, may I just remind you, I request you, there is a feedback form that is being shared in the chat box. Kindly fill it. Now this is Q&A session. If you feel you want to share your views about something that has been told, that has been spoken by Matthew sir or Bhatnagar sir, please, either you may jot down in the chat box, or you may unmute your mic and you can speak.
Or they can raise their hand. George sir, they can raise their hands.
Thank you, sir. You will raise your hand and the technical head will unmute. Is it like that, sir?
Yeah.
Right, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Mallikarjun wanted to speak something. Mallikarjun, can you unmute yourself, your audio and video?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible.
Sir, it was a nice session. Hello.
Yes,
Yeah.
please continue.
Yes, sir. I have a question to both the hosts of the evening. There is a gesture or a notion among the teachers that freedom of expression will be taught to the students in our schools. But at the same time, if a student put forward something with the logic, he will be cribbed or criticized. How to change this mentality from teacher's mind?
Yes, sir.
Mallikarjun, can you just repeat your question? I mean, I just want to understand it correctly.
Yes. So in our schools, we teach freedom of expression to the students.
Yes.
But at the same time, if many teachers will crib and criticize the students if he or she put something forward with the logic. How to change this mentality from the teacher's mind, that even students are very creative and special?
Very interesting question. In fact, I would say, see, this is something which is, as I even mentioned, that, the students, we actually are making the students more responsible. We are talking of now the 21st century learning, post-pandemic, there is a lot of changes, and we are making the students, responsible for their own learning. Now here, this is what the teachers need to make sure that if a child comes up with an idea, with a logic, probably there is no need to demean anyone. If you're asking how to change the mindset, is of course, it will be possible through some kind of, like a reiteration by the school heads or their own heads, that yes, the students are welcome and the students must be allowed to share whatever comes to their mind. Because see, there is no question which is a stupid question for me. Like when a student probably ask a question, so there is no question which is a stupid question. There can be stupid answers, right? So encourage your students to come up with the questions, to come up with their, in fact, ideas. In fact, it should be a welcome move. So if there are teachers who are doing this, first they need to be corrected by their heads, the respective heads. It could be the coordinators, and it could be definitely like the school heads. So once this is known, and then through these platforms or these activities, if you come across any of the teachers who are doing this, tell them that this is something which is not accepted. A student must be encouraged to probably be more logical, to give more ideas, because actually all the things, the actually technological innovations came out because of craziness of people.
Yes,
I mean, so this is something we need to encourage, not discourage.
Yes, sir. And one more proposition I want to put here, sir. Within 10 to 15 years of the next upcoming generation, the schools may become a mere facilitator for the documentation. because you can see Byju's acquiring many platforms, and online teaching has been already inculcated in the everyone's mind. So what the schools and school heads has to prepare for the this upcoming notion in the people, because I doubt that in the next 5 to 10 years many schools will just become mere facilitator of documentation like transfer records, etc. That's it. Schools, what's the strategy schools should cope up with to avoid these kind of things, because online teaching has been just booming like anything.
Matthew, sir, you can unmute.
The teacher who asked that question, or principal who asked that question, used the correct word, mentality.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, mentality has a negative connotation. So that's the mentality. If teachers do not welcome students' questions or poses, that shows a certain mentality. As Dr. Bhatnagar said, there isn't any silly question. Every question has to be heard, and a class has to be interactive, and that is the modern thinking. It cannot be a monologue. That was the generation from where we all came, where the teacher's word was final, first and foremost, and nothing else. We never had a chance to speak except to give answers if questions are asked. But today, students can also contribute, and in fact, they can come with newer shades, newer nuances, and ideas which never occurred to us. They are innovators, and they are themselves participants in this learning process. They are not mere recipients. The word has to be replaced by participants. Children are participants. Teaching, learning is an interactive process. So we must assume that an interactive class involves questions from students, and we should be open to them. If we do not know the answer, we should also have the honesty to say that I do not know the answer now at this moment. I will find out the answer and let you know tomorrow. Also open the session to the whole class and ask, is there anyone else who can answer this question? You're welcome to, because there might be students who know the answer. We are not the repositories of all knowledge. We may have knowledge, but so we should be able to honestly admit that we do not know the answer. We would look up and give the answer. We should never ever discourage a student from asking questions. That is certainly not acceptable. A teacher has to receive questions. That's a very sensible question. Thank you.
I would like to add to Sir Matthew here one thing.
Yes.
It's one of my own experience.
Yes.
I would like to share. I'll just take 2 minutes for this. You know, when you said like a child asks you a question and you don't know the answer, you should be honest by saying that, yes, I don't know about it and I'll come back to you. And this actually happened to me. I don't know how many on this platform right now today, like out of 500, 600 people who are online right now. Like when I'm a computer teacher, and when we are teaching storage devices to the students, we talk of the types of storage devices, which is magnetic and optical mainly. So like we are using the pen drive as well. The pen drives, when they came years ago, what kind of storage devices are these? Are these magnetic or optical? So I'm not sure how many of you know. If somebody knows here, they can answer this question. What kind of storage device is a pen drive? Well, now maybe quite a number of people might be knowing it. I'm not sure. But let me tell you, like there was a change in the syllabus. This was included in our syllabus now. This pen drive was included as a storage device while teaching ICT. A child asked me, so what kind of a storage is this pen drive? And I was actually carrying a pen drive with me that time. And honestly, I didn't know the answer. And I told the child that it's a very good question. I'm not very sure what actually this falls under what category. This is something new which has just come up. Let me come back to you. And trust me, it gave me entirely, though I was teaching computers, but I didn't know what category it falls under. It's called a solid state storage device. And, then I did some Google and I did, kind of research on this. So in fact, what Sir Matthew just said, that yes, be honest, because this will allow you to increase your own knowledge. So we should encourage questioning, definitely, from the students. So be honest. If you don't know the answer, tell them I'll come back to you, and do a little research. Google has, we call it Google Baba these days. It has answered to almost all the questions. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Bhatnagar sir. Yeah, great answer. Yeah, I mean, something from your real life experience. And yeah, adding to what Matthew sir told, of course, we might have heard the speech by Sir Ken Robinson, do schools kill creativity of
Yeah.
the students,
Yes.
isn't it? That
Yes.
sometimes that's true, isn't
Yeah.
it? We don't allow the
Yes.
students to ask questions. Sometimes we just suppress them, asking,
Yes.
this is a stupid question. How can you raise this question in front of everyone? Isn't it? But
Yes.
the right answer, sir, Matthew sir and Bhatnagar sir, you gave the right answer. Thank you so much for that. Yes. Now, anybody else? Yes. Riju Srivastava. Yes. Madam, please. Yeah, it's your turn. Please unmute. Yeah.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Good evening, and thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to ask my question. I will not bound any of the panelists to ask the question. My question is like NEP is focusing so much, like Ashish sir has taken so well the pedagogies and all, what the teachers have to do. The NEP is also focusing on what the teacher has to do, how the teacher can improve how the teachers as the collaborators can improve the teaching learning process. But what is it that we need to do for the parents? Like there is so much, what I feel personally is there is so much that needs to be done on the side of parent. If we see, the parents are the major stockholders of the teaching learning process. The teachers are there, the students are there, but then to both of them parents are related. So we cannot ignore this very important aspect, that how can we make sure, and especially at this time when the schools are about to reopen after a gap of 18 months. It's 18 months that the children are not with us physically, and it has given a very different type of impact on the growth of the children, be it the social aspect, be the emotional aspect. So there is a very different type of impact that has come on the students in this period of 18 months. So it is like what the NEP is saying to delivering for the parents, and what best we can as teachers can help the parents to balance out the what we can say, the learning style, or the way out that they can handle the children well, and we as teachers can manage the children well, because it is really going to be difficult for teachers to handle the children now when they are coming out of this digital era. This is already generation Z that Ashish sir has already shared. So how can we keep a balance on this? I hope I have made myself clear. Pretty long I stretched my question. I don't know, but yes, this question was bothering me for a long time.
Thank you. Yeah, Riju ma'am. Yeah, in fact, government is doing researches on the implementation of national education policy. So once the groundwork is done, it will be given to everyone, so that we will be getting a very clear picture about different roles to be played by the parents, teachers, students, and all stakeholders in the educational scenario. I hope so. Yes, Rajeshri ma'am. Yeah, please.
Sir, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Sir, the question to both the resource person, like, please guide me as a principal how to motivate and guide our teachers to execute this all effective pedagogies in their lesson plan. Which topic, the method of teaching, how they will how to motivate as a principal, as a leader, and then how to tally that what they have written in their lesson plan and the teaching and the learning outcome achieved, like we do generally in the lesson plan. So will there be a change, or what a leader should do about it?
It's a very useful and interesting question, Rashima. See, yes, about the lesson plan and of course, motivation. Online teaching has really taken its toll on the teachers. Let me be honest. And as a head of school, I have seen this. Instead of like 8 hours of school, in fact, probably I might have just mentioned the teachers who are working for 12 hours, 14 hours, even 16 hours at home. Work from home has in fact increased their workload rather than decreasing it. So they are really, kind of drained, literally drained. So, like when it comes to motivation, one big thing is what probably I would suggest, I would suggest from my own personal experience is one is you have weekly meetings set up with all the members of staff, virtual meetings, which will again be like kind of, an informal, just what's happening, what's going on, and so on. Not only that, plus the trainings. Now, the in-house training is very, very important, especially like keep talking to different people and what different tools they're using. Like I mentioned some of the Chrome extensions which my teachers were using, and some of them were mentioned here, like some tools, some members of staff, Quizzes, Padlet, Wakelet, then of course Cami. Already mentioned Kahoot. So all these different tools which are available, maybe you can have a resource person who can give training on how to integrate these within their lessons so that they, when they prepare their lesson plans, they can utilize or make full use of these different tools and extensions. Second, like how to, see whether the lesson plan is actually followed or not, the learning outcomes are followed or not. That will, like, you will have to be added to all the Google Classrooms. As a school head, I was also doing this. I was added to all the Google Classrooms. And I was, randomly going into different, like visiting different Google Classrooms, that what's actually happening. So I would just randomly go, and every day, even I would spend around 4 to 5 hours in different classrooms. That what are the students doing? What are the teachers doing? You already have a copy of their lesson plans with you. You know that, okay, what was expected out of a particular lesson. And there might be a few, changes here and there, but then a teacher needs to stick to that plan. So this is something which, the school leaders will have to do, that by visiting these classes randomly and, have a regular check. And then, of course, as I said, you can have probably, if you have your coordinators will be taking regular feedback from the staff. If you have probably HODs, they will take, feedback or the lesson plans from their subject teachers. So it all depends, like what is the hierarchy and what is the organizational structure. Different schools have different structure, but you probably will be the head of schools are overall responsible for that. So you will have to have a personal track of all this. When it comes to motivation, keep on doing some kind of sessions on mindfulness with them. Yoga and meditation, that is very, very important. In fact, I was doing it regularly even with my staff. So it's very useful. You can sometimes do it if you know how to conduct meditation sessions. Fantastic. If not, then we can have some outside external body. There are a lot of people who were doing a lot of free sessions, meditation sessions, especially during pandemic. I also got it done from somebody in Mumbai. I personally conducted several sessions. So all these things keep motivating the teachers that yes, the school is worried about our mental and emotional health. They are working on that as well, and keep asking them about well-being. That's it. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, anybody else? Yes, okay. It's written Uma's iPad. Yeah, sir, please unmute and speak. Sir, please unmute. You are muted.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Good evening, sir.
good evening.
I'm Uma Anaya from Mysore, and I've been working as an administrator in a school called Vidyavardhaka Sangha. I very strongly agree with you. Never snub a child. If you remember your school days, if your teacher has snubbed you, you wouldn't have come up in the life. So definitely, I agree with you. Never snub a child. Encourage him to ask questions. Thank you, sir. And both of you, I would like to thank you. It was a wonderful session. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and really, I could take some good points
Thank you,
from
ma'am.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we have some Zenith Pongso also. She's raised her hand. I can see it on my screen.
Okay.
Zenith Pongso. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Zainath from Sri Lanka. I would
Hi,
like to
Zenith.
thank you for this wonderful opportunity because it was really nice listening to you both. And I actually enjoyed each part of the session. Also, I'm so sorry I'm not in a position to switch on my camera, but I hope you could hear me. Just because I just heard one of y'all say that, we could obviously ask an elderly student, okay, is this a stupid question? You could probably ask that, okay? But from a pre-primary student, you can never come up with a question like that. You could never ask. So I just one of my personal experiences. So I was just doing a session with one of the pre-primary students about a poem, and there was this turtle, and I showed an underwater picture where the turtle was swimming with some fish, and I never expected the child to ask me, teacher, how did the turtle jump into the water? So she wanted to see the picture of where the turtle jumped into the water. So I didn't have that ready with me. So we have to obviously be ready to, come up with questions, answers, give answers to anyone, any child at any time. So just the way you all said, it's all about a teacher being a child in the classroom. So you have to coordinate and be together. So thank you very much for all the wonderful answers and the wonderful advices that you gave. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Anybody else? Okay, so as you know, Sir Ken Robinson said, for most of us, the problem is not that we aim too high and fail. It's just the opposite. We aim too low and succeed. And here what makes the difference is we don't aim too high. We are putting constraints on the expectations of the students and teachers. Whereas once we find out, once we discover the caliber in us, we'll be aiming high. Okay, may I take this? I hope nobody else is there to speak. So may I take this opportunity to invite Dr. Shaiju Nair, one of the directors of Panchatantra Planet, to present the upcoming programs and to propose word of thanks. Please, Dr. Shaiju.
Good evening to one and all. It was indeed a great experience in today's evening to listen on the topic pedagogical strategies and innovative teaching in the 21st century from two stalwarts of education and leadership. I'm absolutely without words on how to express our gratitude to these two icons of school administration and leadership. First of all, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to Dr. Matthew C. Nainan, who has agreed to speak and share his views on school leadership. I always feel I never get satisfied by listening to Dr. Nainan sir, because I have attended many of his sessions, but the more I listen to him, the more eager I am going to listen, or I read his books occasionally, and I found that that is the ultimate book on leadership for school leaders. Sir, your views on 21st century skill-based education leadership, insightful leadership, and how can a leader impact on his team, etc. All empowered us to how to lead the school in the 21st century. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and spend your valuable time for making this evening a special one. I'm eagerly waiting for another session of you on this platform. And this is not my personal expectation, but even the participants are requesting me to ask Nainan sir to conduct more sessions on our Panchatantra planet. Once again, I express our sincere gratitude to Dr. Nainan sir for this great sharing of knowledge with us.
Thank you.
Secondly, I express my sincere thanks to Dr. Ashish Bhatnagar for enlightening us on the topic innovative pedagogical and teaching practices needed to implement along with the NEP 2020 in our classroom. He pointed out new pedagogical practices needed for this generation alpha and technology integration in the classrooms, crossover teaching, flipped classrooms, 3D printing technology, teaching strategies, lesson planning, etc. These two icons of school leadership has given very good answers to the queries put forward by the audience. And we expect more sessions from these two stalwarts. And next, a ship can navigate through the sea water smoothly once the ship has a great captain to guide. We are fortunate to have Dr. George Kolancheri sir as our today's moderator. Dr. George Kolancheri sir is a leader, a visionary administrator, a psychologist, a writer who moderated the session beyond words can express. Thank you, sir, for moderating this session and accepting our invitation in spite of your busy schedule. Next, I would like to express my sincere thanks to our beautiful audience of Panchatantra Planet. Thank you, dear audience, for your constant support from the day we started Panchatantra Planet. And we earnestly expect your participation in our future programs as well. Next, I would like to thank all the directors of Panchatantra Planet for your valuable guidance and association. Lastly, not least, I would like to thank our technical team, Mr. Robinson and Mr. Abhilash, for making the creatives and technical support and making this event a beautiful one. Once again, I thank all the eminent personalities who participated in this beautiful program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shaiju.
Thank you so much
for proposing word of thanks. So let's conclude and let's have a great evening. Let's wait for a bright time to come. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? So let's be optimistic and let's hope for the best. Have a great time, great evening. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for your presence, making it wonderful. Yeah. And audience, I hope you have filled the feedback form. You will be getting the certificates. Most of you might have been got the certificates by email already.
We can expect some more
they might have been got. Yeah, Shaiju?
Yeah, we can keep our platform at least 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
Good.
Please fill the feedback form without errors. Those who fill the feedback form without errors, they might have been received. Others can fill, then you will get within 5 minutes your certificates. And George sir, a special thanks from my end. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It's so nice to have you as moderator.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And we would like to have a full-fledged session on by you in the coming days.
Hopefully,
that's what our idea is.
Sure, sir. Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah, we need support from people like you.
Thank you.
Sure, always. Sure, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Binu sir, is there Binumon sir?
Binumon sir, he has got some technical issues, so he couldn't join. That's
Fine.
what happened.
Fine.
Yeah.
Thanks to Binumon sir as well. Yeah, he sent me a text message that he's facing some issues.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so much. May I leave the platform now? Right?
Yeah, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Shaiju sir,
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Take care.